An impeachment trial against Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte begins, with the outcome poised to shape the country's political future. Prosecutors and defense lawyers presenting contrasting cases before the Philippine Senate on the first day of the impeachment trial of the Vice President Sara Duterte. The House of Representatives prosecution panel making the case that it's about holding leaders to account and upholding the Constitution, with allegations that Sara Duterte betrayed the public trust when she misused confidential funds, amassing unexplained wealth, and also when she made threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his family. Duterte's legal team, meanwhile, urging Senator judges to dismiss the case, arguing the impeachment is driven by politics rather than evidence, and that the complaint was legally and constitutionally flawed. The trial, the first involving a sitting vice president, now moves to the presentation of evidence and witness testimony. It opens amid mounting legal pressure on Duterte allies. Senator Rodante Marcoleta surrendered today after an arrest warrant was issued. Two other senators allied with Duterte were also not in attendance. Senator Jinggoy Estrada is detained for a plunder case. Senator Ronaldo De La Rosa wanted by the ICC for crimes against humanity, still at large. Their cases do not automatically affect the impeachment trial, although questions still remain over their participation. The court will also have to decide how many votes will be needed for conviction, given the absence of these senators. And we're joined by Jacob Lazaro. He's covering this story for CNA from Metro Manila. Jacob, we just heard that some of the arguments from both the prosecutors and Sara Duterte's defense lawyers. What were the strongest arguments put forward by both?
Yes, Wei. So first of all, the Vice President, Sara Duterte, did not personally attend the impeachment because under the impeachment court's rule, the respondent can be represented by her lawyers instead. That's why 11 private lawyers were sent by Duterte to defend her instead. Now, 11 members of the House of Representatives were sent to be the panel prosecutors, and they had 16 private lawyers as consultant. Now, for this day, it's really more about smoothing out the processes for the next few weeks and months of the trial, of the impeachment trial. So no arguments or presentation of evidences were made, but both parties were able to make their opening remarks. Now, the prosecution had their lead as Jervy Luiso, but the Batangas representative. She stated in her opening statement that if the actions of a simple Filipino can be scrutinized under the law, then so should be the actions of the highest official of the land. She put particular emphasis on the alleged grave threats that the vice president made in 2024 about ordering the assassination of President Marcos and his family should she herself be killed. Luiso said, "This is the most serious of all the allegations." Luiso said that while democracy allows politicians to disagree and criticize each other, democracy ends when violence begins. Now, the defense were able to make their opening statement as well, with their lead defense counsel Sheila Season reminding the prosecution that the vice president does have the public's trust, especially since she was voted in by 32 million Filipinos. Now, they rehashed how the Supreme Court has already ruled once that the House of Representatives have already abused its discretion during the first impeachment, which was ultimately declared as unconstitutional. Now, Attorney Season also said that the House of Representatives went beyond its power by holding a fishing expedition or a mini trial to gather more evidence to build a case instead of simply initiating the impeachment proceeding as the prosecutors.
Well, Jacob, a lot of detail even on just this first day as the opening remarks that we're hearing, and there'll be a great deal of not just evidence, but each side arguing for and against the evidence. What can we expect in the days ahead?
Yes, well, there are 4 articles of impeachment in total, and the first to be discuss in these next few weeks is the grave threats, which will take 11 trial days. The second one is the issue on the confidential funds, about the 600 billion worth of confidential funds allegedly used to bribe her ally. This will take 31 trial days, the longest among all of the impeachment articles. The third will be the alleged bribery of DepEd officials, which will last for 8 days. And the fourth article is how Duterte allegedly amassed an unexplained wealth due to the discrepancies of the amount of money found in her bank transactions and her declared net worth. Now, the whole trial is expected to last for more than 90 trial days, with more than 100 witnesses expected to be called. Senator judges will vote by the end of the trial on a per article basis. Now, the Senate composition, yes. Now, only 21 senators were present, but the elected presiding officer, Senator Cheese Osquidero, made it clear that at least 16 votes needs to be locked in for the vice president to be successfully impeached.
Oh, thanks, Jacob Lazaro, outlining just this, the first day of the opening day of the impeachment trial for Vice President Sara Duterte. Of course, Jacob Lazaro live for CNA from Metro Manila.